Thank you for staying with us. You're welcome back to the AM Weekend Show. Right now, we're going to be taking a look at everything happening on the front pages of our national dailies, beginning with First Daily. The boldest headline we have here says, Court halts PDP convention, party splits, chaos looms, and the rider says, Wike turns leadership. This marks end of impunity. Defiant PDP vows to proceed, heads to appeal court. Legal blow deepens opposition's internal crisis ahead of 2027 polls. Also on this headline, also on this paper, FG approves national carbon market plan to unlock $3 billion annually. Falana condemns Tinubu's pardon controversy, demands AGF's apology. NAF redeploys 25 top officers in sweeping command shakeup. Also on this paper, Christian genocide. Trump redesignates Nigeria as country of particular concern. That's what we can take on First Daily.
Now from Blueprint Weekend, we have boldest headline which says, gunshot accident cases, how hospitals reject rush victims to early graves. Riders stay refusing patients in emergency, criminal, unethical. This is credited to NAD. Fear of police arrest makes us rebuff gunshot victims. This is credited to doctors and nurses. And last rider says, we don't prevent treatment to gunshot accident victims. This is credited to police. You can find more of that on page 8 and 9. Still on the paper, we have Dangote Refinery guarantees consistent PMS diesel supply. This is credited to Chiejina. And also on this paper, we have insecurity. Over 34 million Nigerians at risk of food crisis by mid-2026. More of that you can find on page 10. And finally, on this paper, court restrains INEC from monitoring, recognizing PDP's planned national convention.
All right, moving on to Saturday Punch. Boldest headline here says, Trump hammers Nigeria again amid visa clampdown. U.S. President blacklists Nigeria over alleged Christian genocide. Trump's decision splits American lawmakers, politicians, bishops. Also on this paper, digital pimps. Nigeria's booming sex economy, where syndicates use tech to trap youths. That's one you'll find on the Punch. Also, another headline here says, I mopped floors to pay my way through school. A Loring first-class graduate says, my father murdered my mom. I'm fine if he's killed too, says son. Another interesting one we have here says, PDP convenes emergency meeting after court halts convention. That's all we can take on Saturday Punch.
And moving straight to The Nation, boldest headline says, PDP crisis deepens as court orders. PDP crisis deepens as court orders. PDP crisis deepens as court orders INEC to disregard convention. We have riders which say, Wike loyalists plots next move. Party kicks says judgment assault on democracy. Away from that, Dangote Refinery guarantees consistent PMS diesel supply, delivers 45 million liters of petrol, 25 million liters of diesel daily. Federal government to end 15% import duty from 32 ml per day of petrol. U.S. redesignates Nigeria's country of particular concern over Christian genocide claims. More of that you can find on page 6. And that's the much. Okay, another on this paper says, we have stayed undergraduates for 10 years without graduating. Dental students cry out. That's the much you can take from this paper.
All right, moving on to Saturday Vanguard. Courts stopping our convention assault on democracy. Courts stopping our convention assault on democracy. This is credited to PDP. Party rejects decision, asks members to continue preparations for convention. This is the handiwork of saboteurs. Will appeal decision, says Damagum. It's judicial brigandage. Open recipe for anarchy, says Bode George. Delay is not denial. Some PDP leaders see hope in court's decision. Why PDP cannot go ahead with its national convention, says court. Also on this paper, fuel. Nigerians apprehensive as depot price hits 889 naira per litre. Price may hit above 1,000 per litre with 15% tax. Producing GMOs, scientific fraud. not agriculture, says Professor Cyril Otoikian. And finally, Dangote Refinery guarantees consistent PMS diesel supply. That's what we have on Vanguard.
And moving straight to this day paper, Trump lists Nigeria as country of particular concern amid alleged Christian killings. Federal government to issue official response today. That's the writer. Dangote Refinery guarantees consistent petrol diesel supply, delivers 45 million liters of petrol, 25 million liters of diesel daily. Naira strengthens to 1,421 per 21 naira per dollar. Stock market gains 35.07 trillion naira in 10 months. And lastly on this paper, Akpoti Uduagan, why I invited Akpabio others to my project inauguration in Kogi. That's the much we can take from this paper.
All right, moving on to Saturday's Sun. Alleged coup. 4 ex-militant leaders, former amnesty boss under watch. NAF redeploys 25 senior officers in major shakeup. Trump, US president, blacklists Nigeria, designates its country of particular concern, says Christians under existential threat. I faced several rejections from producers, says Lillian Afebai. Also on this paper, insecurity, how gunmen left sorrow, trauma in Southeast, 1,844 killed in 2 years, communities, businesses in ruins, says reports. You find that on page 4, 5, and 6. Also on this paper, confusion over conflicting court rulings on PDP convention. Lagos, talking about Lagos, anger over fresh demolitions. And finally, Dangote Refinery guarantees consistent PMS diesel supply. That's what we can take on Saturday's Sun.
And now from Saturday Tribune, we have Trump says Christians face existential threats in Nigeria. Riders say put Nigeria on same watch list with North Korea. We are studying his statement. This is credited to presidency, and you can find more of that on page 3. Police bust kidnap ring, rescue 23 foreigners in Abuja. More of that you can find on page 8. PDP insists on holding convention on November 15. Kicks against Abuja court order. More of that you can find on page 4. Court sacks Zamfara rep for defecting from PDP to APC. More of that you can find on page 4. 34 million Nigerians in 27 states face food crisis by mid-2026. This is credited to a report, and more of that you can find on page 6. And finally, on this paper, Dangote Refinery guarantees consistent petrol diesel supply. More of that you can find on page 5.
All right, moving on to the Matrix. The boldest headline here says PDP crisis. Court halts national convention amid legal battles. Court ruling won't stop our convention, says PDP. Wike Ikpeazu, Autumn hails court decision. Judicial overreach. Bode George slams ruling. Arya Star fuels dating rumors after dressing like Rema for Halloween. Also on this paper, CBN's OMO auction records weak demands despite 21.69% yield offer. That's the much we can take on this paper.
And from the Guardian Weekend, Boldest headline says, state creation, doubts, location, name may push back demand in Southeast. You can find more of that on page 26 to page 27. COP30 Tinubu approves National Carbon Markets Framework, eyes $30 billion yearly climate finance. More of that you can find on page 6. We have here Olori Atuashe III, Habs on Trust, Synergy to shape Africa's next chapter. More of that on page 2. And we still have on this paper, from waste to wealth, Nigeria's plastic to diesel innovation charts new course for energy security. And lastly on this paper, we have confusion in PDP over court judgment on planned convention. That's the much we can take from the paper.
All right, now moving on to Saturday Independent. Boldest headline here says, Aten Cemetery woes. Are the dead in Lagos still resting in peace? That's a bold question here. Also, another headline here says, Ochaya's death. We relieve her pain every day. Family cries out 7 years after. You find that on page 30. Also, another headline here says, despite court judgments, PDP charges members to prepare for convention. And finally, APC National Chairman Nentawe given 2 weeks ultimatum to resign. That's how much we can take from Saturday Independent.
And on our final paper today, the Daily Monitor, we have Christianity facing existential threats in Nigeria, says Trump. More of that you can find on page 2, with riders which says select congressmen to invest issues and report to him. Federal government refutes claims of Christian genocide. We also have on this paper, I struggle to be accepted as a black girl in London. This is credited to Tiwa Savage. More mess for PDP as court voids plans November National Convention. More of that on page 4. I was trolled online for my body fat. It's Nosa. Speaks on page 5. And finally on this paper, man jailed 7 years with hard labor for kidnapping a UI undergraduate. More of that you can find on page 13. And that's the much we can take from this paper.
I mean, there are just so many rather sad stories on these papers today. And I think the one that has stood out for me is the one with Donald Trump. I think he made it to all the papers. The last paper we read here says, country of particular concern. Christianity facing existential threat in Nigeria, says Trump. Select congressmen to investigate issue and report to him. FG refutes claim of Christian genocide. We also saw the same headline. Let me take it from this day. It says Trump lists Nigeria as country of particular concern amid alleged Christian killing. And somewhere on this paper, it wrote that this comes after pushbacks. You know, we had pushback from the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who faulted some of those lawmakers for relying on what they call false information, inaccurate and misleading information. So the Minister of Information now is saying that this that Trump is relying on false and misleading information. And then Trump still comes back to reinforce what he has said, and has even said he's going to conduct investigation. It's so embarrassing. It is so embarrassing that we cannot take care of ourselves. It is so embarrassing that we cannot address our issues by ourselves. Now, another country is taking it upon themselves to look into it. Before I even talk about whether it is true or not, the fact that we're having intervention from outside on matters, and
without even inviting them.
The worst is that we're not even on the same page. You know, we're not even admitting that such a problem exists.
Happening.
So it looks like people outside are seeing what we are not seeing. I talked about this the last time. Some months ago, some celebrity came out and they were complaining, not just one, you know, they came out and they were complaining that it looks like we in Nigeria don't actually know things that are going on. I don't know if it's failure of the media, I don't know what it is, but you see other channels, CNN, broadcasting things. I mean, you're seeing videos. You're seeing videos of things happening in your country that you're not aware of. At the time, there was like some killing that happened in Jos and other places in the north. And some were Christian-related killings, some were in churches and all of that. And we do not know about it. You know that moment where you say outside, it looks like people are exaggerating. But when you now see video evidences, you're just shocked. You're just stunned. I came across those stories yesterday too. Somewhere in Jos too, killings are going on. Killings, crazy killings are going on. There was this pastor that came out and was saying that he might even be the next. He was saying it boldly, that he has told his family that they should not even cry, they should not pay any ransom when the kidnapping starts to happen. Now we're trying so hard to make it a social issue, a national issue. Actually, kidnapping is going on everywhere. But when we look at the demography, it is hard to just decide that there's no religious contention in Nigeria. It is so hard to just come to terms with, you know, to just say it's not religious. It's just it's hard. Honestly, it's hard.
It is hard.
But what do you think?
It is hard. You know, when I saw those that Christianity facing essential, you know, and seeing the people from the government saying that it is a false information, it just feels like, are you people playing? Year in, year out, we see this happen. This year, we've heard like over 7,000 people have been killed. 7,000 Christians have been killed, right? And nothing is being done. This is not the first year it's happening. This is not the second year it's happening. Even if it's not related to Christianity, why do we have this kind of killing happening every single year in Nigeria? And nothing is being done about it. We don't see the military being, you know, sent to those places. We don't see any type of investigation. We don't see any type of technology being invented to ensure that we see the root cause of this. And it feels like, it seems like there is a certain persons influencing it or fueling this. And I genuinely want to understand to what end, what's the reason why we cannot do anything. We see that we are suffering insecurity to this large extent and nothing is being done about it. Nobody's saying anything. It doesn't appear on the news. It takes personal blogs or, it takes personal intervention to a large extent to, get to this information. Nothing about the government. Nobody hears it from the government. We don't hear anything. And it begs the question, just like, they say that if something passed 24 hours, it means that the government has
exists 24
so
hours.
it seems like it's true. Because it continues to happen year in, year out, and there is nothing being done completely. To what end? What are we going to do? Are we going to continue to see it this way? What are we going to achieve at the end of the day? Losing people without the government intervening.
Honestly, it's so sad. It's sad because on one hand, you're trying so hard not to make it religious. As in, we all, if you're a Nigerian, somewhere in your heart, you're feeling like, let's not make this thing religious, because at the end of the day, it's not only Christians that are dying. You're trying so hard not to make it religious. But at the same time, you can't quite tell how else you can explain it. How else you can explain, especially when you check the demography. It is just so hard to explain it.
And where they do these things.
And honestly,
it's always in churches.
I just hope whatever has to be done should be done. At this point, I don't even care if Donald Trump wants whatever, so long as it's not going to cause us harm. That's just what I feel.
To see because that now we're countries intervening.
There's another headline here. It says insecurity: how gunmen left sorrow, trauma in the southeast. Oh, that's the one we were talking about.
Yeah,
1,844 killed in 2 years. Communities, businesses in ruins. And trust me, the figure may be way more.
This is just for the media, and this is just how much they can calculate. It's way more than that, and it's happening. It's not new. It's been happening. This is not the first administration. It's happened before now. What are we doing? What are the plans? It's just there every single time we hear it on the news, and that's just it. It feels like these are just numbers. They're not humans. These are people's family. These are people's brothers, sisters, family, parents. We continue to see them, lose them this way, and nothing is being done. We don't hear anything from the government. It's sad. It's totally sad. Genuinely, it's sad. It is sad.
So was there any other headline that caught your attention?
We have so many, but this one didn't even make it to one of the boldest headline, but it just caught my attention about, the result falsification scandals, rocks, Kogi Poly, deputy registrar flees. At this point, we're still suffering from results for falsification. Not quite long ago, we had one in Enugu State. One of Enugu State's government officials had to suffer from it. UNN saying that they are not aware of issuing him this certificate that he was falsified. Him coming out to say that he did not falsify any result. It's sad that the people we have in these positions at the end are not credible for these positions. Somebody that is about to represent others, or somebody that is taking over a position to handle certain things, is not qualified and is falsifying a result, and it's not seen. We cannot figure it out until the person takes the position for a long period of time before we can even begin to see it. And at the end of the day, nothing is done. No real punishments, no real consequences for situations like that. And it gives room for other people to continue to do it. So if you're to check people in positions in Nigeria, we're going to see that literally a very large number of people are working with falsified results. So where are we headed? What is our education system turning to?
It's quite sad.
It's sad.
To cap it up, I'm seeing a headline on Blueprint. That's like the boldest headline here. It says, gunshot accident cases, how hospitals reject rush victims to early graves. The writers here say, refusing patients in emergencies, criminal and unethical. This is credited to NARD. And then the second headline, writer here says, fear of police arrest makes us rebuff gunshot victims. This is what doctors are saying. Doctors and nurses are saying. And then the final one here says, we don't prevent treatment to gunshot accident victims, says police. So
are
who
we
do
to
we
believe?
believe? Exactly.
Who are we to
Doctors
believe?
are saying they are rejecting patients of gunshots victims and all that because they are scared of arrest. Police is saying we don't prevent it. Who are we supposed to
Which
believe?
doesn't make sense. I think within last 2 weeks, it was raised in the plenary that it should stop. People, hospitals should treat people in emergencies because we've lost so many lives in this situation. When you bring somebody, I mean, you witness an accident, you just want to save life. You carry those people to the hospital. Next thing, you're being investigated, you're
interrogated.
the hospital saying
come
no
and write
unless you
statements.
bring police. I mean, this is a matter of splits of seconds. You're going to lose this person if nothing is being done. I've said it, I usually say it, if you're going to handcuff the person to the bed, handcuff them, they're not going anywhere. Administer first aid, revive this person first before we talk about any other thing. When this person is revived, they can talk about who they are, they can tell you their identity, they can give you any other information you want to hear, but please save them. I've also had, I lost someone recently, but I feel like if something was done earlier, we wouldn't have lost that person. But there are situations where you see things, you see that this person needs surgery in a split of seconds and nothing is happening. Maybe the hospital does not even have the right equipment for that surgery. You begin to push it, pay this one, go to this one. Okay, even recommend the next hospital, it becomes a problem. They will take days, close to weeks before they can even recommend and say, okay, we cannot handle this anymore. Let's go. But this is something that is required in a period of time.
Lives.
You understand? So I feel like this, just like I said, it was mentioned in the plenary sometime last 2 weeks or 3, and I hope that it's been put into practice immediately. Hospitals should not wait. Okay, if you want to get further information, just make sure if you're going to handcuff them to the bed, if you're going to keep them, that person is unconscious, is not going anywhere, right? So administer the first aid treatment, get the person revived first before you do any other thing, basically.
Honestly, I don't even know why doctors have to be threatened. They were in the hospital. They were not at the crime scene. Or am I missing something?
Genuinely,
It's quite sad. I mean, the victims are just the ones at risk. The police and the hospitals are still dragging. The victim is dying by every second. It's just crazy. Nigeria needs to be fixed one way or the other. You agree with me?
A lot needs to be
because you're talking about
every
this
sector.
one. You know, you talk to this place, you see another one.
Fixed.
You talk to this place, please. I'm tired. But yeah, that is the much we can take on the newspaper review this morning. Up next on the AM Weekend Show is our trip to the gym. Just take your positions. I hope that working out may help you forget some of Nigeria's problems. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.